Pillings Lock, it's big news at the moment, it's defaulted on its payment. Can you tell us what the latest is with that situation?
Well, the company is now gone into a voluntary liquidation. We attended the creditors' meeting this week to try to understand the financial position. I think it's worth saying, we worked very hard to try to avoid this happening. We've been chasing the debt that's owed to us for some time, talking to the marina operator. It was clear that we weren't going to have any of that debt repaid, and so we've taken the action that we've had to take to now terminate our network access agreement. The company's gone into liquidation, and we wait to see what happens next. Our thoughts, of course, are with the boaters who are caught up in this. We're very sympathetic to them. We're talking directly to them very actively. We want to make sure we do whatever we can to help them. But clearly, their primary relationship is with the marina operator. We now need to all see what the next step is, and we're obviously progressing very carefully, taking good advice about what the next steps for us should be.
Okay. Moving on, we've talked about HS2. Can you just tell us what the effects of HS2 are going to be on the waterways, and how the Trust is going to tackle threats to waterways generally, such as Fradley Junction, which is at the moment facing 4 viaducts going across it?
There are a number of crossings on the network, and we're working closely with HS2 to influence them to do what we can to mitigate the effect. Places, as you said, like Fradley Junction, where the effect really is extreme, we're determined to push back very hard to come up with a better solution there. We're deliberately not taking a view for or against HS2. We don't believe that's our role. We're fighting very hard to look after the waterways, to mitigate the effects, and indeed to take opportunities to improve things where we can. In the east side of Birmingham, for example, we think we can work with the City Council and HS2 to make a big improvement to the Digbeth flight, the Curzon Street flight that locks there. So there are opportunities as well as threats, but we're determined, working with the other waterways organisations, IWA, the restoration groups, the canal societies, to make sure the waterways are not significantly affected by this as far as is possible, given the influence that we can bring.
You said in the meeting, I think, that there's a united front on this now, and you're meeting with HS2. You've got a group that's meeting with HS2. Is it once a month?
We meet with our technical team, sit down once a month. We also talk to them at more senior levels as well. We know the new chairman at HS2, so we want to talk to him directly. He's very involved with the Olympic Park waterways in his role there. So we know we have things we can say that will help affect this. We're doing our very best to look after the waterways with that united front. We heard this morning the Chesterfield Canal Society are very joined up with us and making sure we look after their restoration project, for example, and we're determined to do whatever it takes to look after the waterways.
The Chesterfield restoration isn't actually one of your waterways, but you've brought it into the fold, if you like, to try and help them. And part of the meeting today was about restoration. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that? The new way, for example, the new way that you're dealing with volunteers now, as opposed to the way they were dealt with back in the days of BW, when things were slightly different.
Well, it's twofold, Nick. We've had a huge increase in volunteers working on the core network through volunteer lock keepers, our towpath task forces, and other things. But of course, we're also reaching out more to the restoration societies. We believe we're in a better place to help them. We certainly think we can learn a huge amount from what's been achieved by volunteers into the incredible work that they've done. And we're trying to make sure now we work with other parties, with IWA, with all the many societies, to share best practice, help each other, bring whatever expertise and just general clout that we can to help them on their way, and very much embrace volunteering as a key to the way we're going to do things, both within the core work the Trust does and the restorations.
It was interesting to see that the IWA was here today, and they spoke in the meeting about their views of restoration, how they're working with the Trust, and how it's actually gelling. One of the things that came out was the communication between the groups. The communication between restoration groups isn't all perhaps that one would wish, and there are certainly groups dotted around the country. Just tell us a little bit more about how the Trust and the WA are tackling getting everybody together so that there's better communication.
Well, we've set up a website, a LinkedIn group for societies to opt into. It's very much a question of opting in, just to help facilitate more dialogue, more sharing. As you say, many of these groups are quite well spread out, quite distributed. So if we can help create a forum where we can, draw things together, I think that could help everyone. We've got more resource now. We've got 2, full-time appointments in our team. It's actually giving us a little bit more momentum to be able to support some of the work that the restoration societies are doing. We're just very keen to kind of, again, pull things together because it's so important that we do see the canal restorations progress. It helps bring energy and enthusiasm for waterways, and we're very keen to help that communication prosper.
Okay, so the LinkedIn group, is that going to be a central point where everybody can come to, they can join it, and then groups can swap information?
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is, Nick. Yeah, sorry for not being clear.
Absolutely.
No, people can share information, they can make contact with others, very, sort of, I suppose, participative way social media works, and hopefully we can really build some momentum together and support the numerous restoration programs. Yeah, we've been very fortunate with some HLF money coming to support some of our own schemes on the Montgomery and the Pocklington. We're working very closely with the Grantham Society, but it isn't just about the ones in our ownership, it's about how we reach out to the many others to pull together, to share what we're doing and have stronger links.
Just to shine a bit of limelight on the trust, the People's Postcode Lottery gave you Charity of the Year, awarded you Charity of the Year, was it last week? Last week,
yeah, delighted to be at the event in Edinburgh. We got a cheque for £50,000 for their Charity of the Year, and amongst a very esteemed company, lots of very well-established charities. It was great to be recognised so early in our life as a new charity for the things that we are doing. So very positive.
Have they committed to give the trust more money as well?
That's right. We have an arrangement where they committed, and we're delighted. We thank them and the many players of the Postcode Lottery. They are giving us £100,000 a year, and they've upped that to £125,000 a year. So it's another example of how we're reaching out to draw in new sources of funding to deliver, bigger, broader objectives for our waterways.
I'll stray a little bit off restoration. I just want to come back to that quickly if I can. Restoration has taken something of a backseat on in the latter years of BW, and certainly in the minds of, or in the mindset perhaps of BW. What if it's an integral part now of the waterways and of the trust? What have we got to do to get the buzz back among the wider population? Not so much among canal people, I think everybody knows what that's all about, but amongst the wider public that actually restoration is important, and this is what it means. It might move at a snail's pace, which sometimes it does, but then of course towards the end it starts to move much more quickly. But how do we get this over to people?
Well, I think it's all about progress on the ground, isn't it? I think that's what people respond to when they can see things happening. I've been so impressed by the energy and enthusiasm that the numerous schemes have got, and I think we've just got to help them, be successful. And success breeds success, in my view. People see things happening, they want to be part of that, they suddenly recognise the benefits that will bring to their communities. So, I think it isn't one single thing, it's a whole series of that consistent effort to make things happen. The money that we're accessing from HLF will make a difference. Some of the partnerships that we see developing that I'm delighted to see the Trust very much a part of, as you say, perhaps in contrast to the recent years of BW, I think we really can build that energy, build that momentum, and indeed we can also see it spread across the core network. The growth in volunteering and community engagement we're seeing on our 2,000-mile core network is also very exciting, and hopefully one can rub off on the other. New restorations will breed more enthusiasm. People will see what we're doing in terms of improving the core network, and that itself, excite people to get involved in local restorations as well.
Okay, Richard, thank you very much indeed.